Chauvin trials is finally come to conclusion, and Tuesday, 420, was not only a day of getting high. Well, it was a day of getting high because we were smoking that Chauvin pack, ladies and gentlemen, because after many weeks of the trial, after many weeks of hearing the defense try to conjure up some BS defense, sort of like how conservatives say that, the votings were rigged. That was basically the defense's um, argument, which was it's all about perspective. It's all about, what we perceive to have happened is not really what happened, when really what we saw happen was what actually happened. I hope I made that sound correct. Sometimes two plus two is four, all right? And sometimes what we see is actually what happened. And so finally, after only what seemed like 10
S-
hours
Okay.
of deliberation, the jury came in and they were given their deliberation. Derek Chauvin, aka Smoking That Chauvin Pack, was found guilty. Second degree murder, guilty. Third degree murder, guilty. Second degree manslaughter, guilty. And what made it even more sweet was the fact that they requested for Chauvin to go straight into custody. That means, hey, that bail that you had when you were outside, out on bail, fresh out of jail, no more, B. Taking your ass right back into holding. And now we have to wait 8 weeks for sentencing. I don't know about you, Bastion, but I was a bit nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I was so nervous about hearing the jury verdict because so many times in our history that we've seen things on video which involve police brutality, right? And a lot of a lot of those officers were able to walk away scot free. Okay, Rodney King got his face beaten by the cops, and it was filmed on video. The evidence was there, but those officers got to walk away scot free. Don't even got to mention Breonna Taylor, videotaped, scot free,
No charges.
no charges. Those charges were dropped, and those officers got to walk away scot free. Eric Gardner got to walk away scot free. So going into this, I was nervous because I felt like, hey, it was a high possibility that Derek Chauvin could be found innocent of all charges. So when the guilty verdict came down, not once, not twice, but thrice, it felt so satisfying. I was so happy. I was so happy, Bastion, because finally it felt like some justice was served. Okay. It might have taken a year. Okay. Almost a year. But damn it, it was done. We got it done. I'm happy. I'm just so happy.
It's very interesting. The trial started March 8th and ended on April 20th. The trial is called the State of Minnesota versus Chauvin. And just seeing it week to week, and we didn't discuss it on the show because then it would, this is not the perfect show to do a week to week coverage on it.
Word. And plus, our friend Trone did a great coverage on it, anyways.
Yeah, shout out the show.
Word. Shout out to Trone. Maybe we should have had him on, just have him discuss everything. Like, yo, break it down for the people.
Yeah, multi analyze it. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely wanted to wait it out and wait till it was finished before discussing it. Because week after week there was a lot of things that were coming from the trial that was trending.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the people they spoke talking to, the people that were recording on the camera,
Right.
talking to them, uh
Numerous sheriffs
numerous
that was with,
sheriffs, coroner
with
office.
right. That was with the plaintiffs. Um, The actual woman who recorded the whole incident happening, she was there.
Yeah. Pretty
Um,
much most of the people that got different angles as well.
an eyewitness was there as well, who was telling off the cops. Basically, he was there. Yeah, a lot of key witnesses were there that definitely came to support, that came to let their voices be heard, and to give their perspective on what actually happened, which I'm so happy of. I'm so
Even the
proud of.
person that got that even the person the employee that got the counterfeit
Yeah.
bill from Floyd
Hmm.
had to be there, and he was there like the first week.
Yeah.
You know, like the stress on on the young boy man. I was like, damn, and that was like the first week, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what kind of steered me from talking about it on this show on a week to
Right.
week basis. But yeah,
You know what's crazy about that, Bastion? Where Chauvin Pack decided not to speak at all. He wanted to execute his right of using the Fifth Amendment. Right. He seemed like he had no remorse. He had no emotion to him whatsoever. But the young man who called the cops initially, right, because of the counterfeit $20 bill, he feels so much remorse. Like he felt like all of this was his fault,
yeah,
right? He just feels like this haunts him to this day still, because what he was saying was, yo, what if I never made that call? I mean, none of this would have happened if I just didn't make that call. If I just would have just had that 20 taken out of my pay or whatever, if I just would have, gotten that 20, none of this would have happened. Meanwhile, Chauvin was just there, what I'm saying, not saying a word, not really, he just he didn't show any sort of remorse.
yeah. For him to do the to plead the fifth, I think it has a lot to do with like the defense because once they talk to him and they're gonna break down like his train of thought, he'll have nothing to say.
Hmm.
So for them to do that, it's just like just to move on with the trial. And once they did that, I think I knew it was pretty much over. You know, I in my mind, especially looking at the case week after week, I felt like, and also this is something in my mind too as well. This little theory that I have on the media control versus the I could say the internet and how we perceive things. Because when we see that 9 minute video, we know what's going on for all for all the minutes. We're watching the whole thing when you're watching the George Floyd video. The media couldn't change the narration for that, no matter what they were wanting to do. Within the
Right.
first month, they couldn't change the narration for that. But, for other cases, they could change the narration during the first day, first week, and then you're going to have this kind of multifaceted, different ideas going on. So when you have a lack of media ideas, especially on the public, it kind of helps with the juror selection as well because they're not being, I will call brainwashed by the media. It's like, oh no, he doesn't look too bad. It's not all bad cops and stuff. Like no,
This is
no,
very cut and dry right here.
it's very straightforward. The video's very straightforward. The
Yeah.
people in the videos, they're saying like, "Hey, this man can't breathe." This man saying he can't breathe. He's yelling for his mom. Like it's very straightforward. It's like all he had to do was move. When you can't even do that, and if like I said, you're watching the video, it's just very painful to watch.
Yeah. Like
So yeah,
no remorse, because when that video was happening and his knee was on his neck, he was just staring straight into the camera too.
yeah,
Like no remorse, not
no
even a
remorse,
blink.
and
Like he
that's
knew
what
what he was doing.
made it feel like yeah he no shoot he wanted to kill him, and that's kind of what we got from it.
It is. And
He
guess
got
what?
yeah.
I'm gonna keep it G with you, Bashing. You know what? I'm gonna say it, okay? I'm gonna
No,
say,
no,
all
you're
right.
not.
I
No.
can't. I'm happy. You know why? Because this man is gonna be in jail. I can't wait till sentences. And hopefully, shout out to all the people that's locked up that listening to Black Seinfeld, the show about nothing. And hopefully, you got homies that like homies. You know what I'm saying?
All right, I'm gonna stop you there.
Sticking his
Anyways,
booty.
oh my god, that's not funny. That joke is not funny.
I'm not joking. I'm serious.
All right. But the case was pretty big. The media took it pretty quickly. A lot of angles on the media as well. people talking in public. I really hate when media talk to the people in the crowd. I really do. I really hate when people talk to the crowd because no way you have like bullet points like you're ready to go.
Of
Especially if you're
course.
really focused. Especially if you're a regular person that's there to support the protests of what's going on. And the biggest problem I had is how people in the media were responding to it that just didn't know how to say anything. Like sometimes it's fine not to say anything, right? You don't have to say justice, like it. Uh, if you don't have anything to say, talk about the situation, talk about the next step. It's like great, like this was great, but the next step is this is what we're going to do next.
Mm,
This is how we're going to solve the issue with policing in our country. Because as many people saying, policing in America is completely different from the rest of the world.
it is.
So you go to other countries, not military countries, but if you go to other countries, policing killing people is not like a day to day thing. It's not a
Yeah.
day to day occurrence compared to the United States.
And I think it's crazy that there's certain jobs out there that's harder to even get, but it's so easy to become a police officer. I
Yeah,
know with the career that I'm trying to do, there's like a 6 week training, but also um, at the end of every quarter, you have to go back for retraining as well because they want to make sure that the job really emphasizes on safety and making sure that everyone what to do in a high pressured situation. So you're constantly getting trained and trained and trained, and you have to go for training for like 2 months, and the training never stops. It never stops because they want to make sure that you know what to do in the high pressured situations. But it isn't the same with police. Like you could just apply, like, and that's it. Like you good.
yeah, you do your first round of training and then continue. And it should be more of a formal training. Like we could talk about it all day of like what they would need to do. It's like, yeah, defunding the police is pretty much taking all this excess power in their hands and just not one, just limiting, but two, like controlling why they need weapons, right? Why do they operate if someone's having like a mental breakdown at home and they're calling 911 for help? Why are they sending the police? Like, what can this police do to help? They're not trained for that situation. The most they're going to do is try to like just restrain that person so they could be dealt with. Like, no, restraining them will make matters even worse.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. It kind of leads into the questioning of like, what is America really? Because America correlates to their policing as a whole, and then you could tell compared to how the police union is compared to other companies, right? It's like they have such a strong police union, but they're totally against unions in in like Amazon, right? It's like the
Yeah.
world's the biggest villain is like the police officer, right? And for some reason they have the strongest union. Isn't that something crazy? So we could like I said, we could go back and forth all day. It's like this is um a very interesting case to get an all guilty verdict, but there's so much work that needs to be done.
Exactly. And you would think with an all guilty verdict that, this would send a message to officers in saying that, hey, there's actually going to be some sort of repercussions that will occur. But shoot, just a couple hours, a young 16-year-old girl gets shot, and Micaiah Bryant, RIP to her, got shot 4 times in the chest. And I thought this was fake for some reason. Like because I honestly didn't want to believe it because again, 420 was such a good day. All right, we got a conviction, smoking that Chauvin Pack. Weed is legal in New York. Everyone's getting high. And now this tragedy just occurred hours after we got this verdict. And we'll have more details for you about next week, I'd like to say, but until then, just rest in peace to 16-year-old Micaiah Bryant.
So that kind of shows. And in my opinion, I always thought that no matter what the verdict was, it's not like the police was going to change, right? like even if he got not guilty in all of them, right? For example, it's not like they were like, okay, we want to try to prevent this to make sure it never happens again. He gets guilty in all of them. It's like, well, that's a special case. He got guilty, right? And they'll just move along. If it happens to you, most likely we'll have the union, your prosecutor, and they, try to fix your case. Because what makes this case so different is the media outreach,
Yeah, that
right?
is true.
So once the media notice the situation, everything is even heightened. Even the way they do the jury selection is a little bit more complicated. Because remember, what's his name?
Waters.
Walters, Maxine Waters,
Mhm.
said a comment about the protesters, saying they had to be like standing around, being a little bit more aggressive, and they wanted the whole case to be thrown out. They wanted the whole case to be thrown out then, and like kind of do like a whole retrial. It's like no, like even the judge had to say something about it. But it's like come on, like they were really waiting for a situation like this or something. But luckily that didn't happen. They spoke, they did the trial, and that was it. 10 hours, and they had an answer.
Thank goodness. And also with the whole protest that happens, of course, we have um sometimes there are riots that break out due to the frustration of a lot of these brutalities and murders. And now Florida, Bastion, good old Florida. First it was first there was Georgia with their voter suppression, and now it's Florida with their anti-riot bills now becoming law in Florida.
Yeah,
Governor Ron DeSantis signed Florida's anti-riot bill law on Monday, a measure that vastly increases law enforcement powers to crack down on civil unrest.
and who causes the most civil unrest?
The police.
Yeah, it's such a mind-boggling law to make,
Mm-hmm.
and for them to pass it, because it's pretty much a way for police to start arresting people
You
without
got
any problems.
exactly. You got carte blanche status. You can do whatever you want to do. You have Teflon status. You have Teflon authority.
Yeah. All you got to do is pretty interesting. What came up to my mind the minute I saw the anti-riot bill, because in some situations, let's say you do organize a protest, you plan it 2 months ahead of time, you do the whole Facebook thing, you get roughly 100 people, 100,000 people coming out to do a protest.
Mm-hmm.
Later in the night, they could wait past 5 p.m. People are still protesting. All they got to do is put a couple bad cops in certain situations in order to get them all rowdy.
Oh, of
And
course.
and it's sociology. Once you get rowdy on one end, it kind of it's a domino effect. And
But they
yes,
already
that has happened many
exactly
times
that,
where
that
cops
has happened.
have been in certain situations being what we'll call extra. It's like why are you being so extra for,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Or
So when you
some cops are incognito as civilians,
yeah.
and their sole purpose is to cause a commotion and basically start a riot.
Yeah. So once you're there and they got what they wanted from it, then they'll be able to start arresting people.
Exactly. It's basically the um the lighting of a match, and they're just waiting for to just let that flame start of engulf.
And I think it's all BS at the end of the day, because let's say 100,000 people protesting and they arrest, let's say they arrest maybe like 200 people. Those 200 people are kind of stuck in the system now. Not
Yeah.
only they lost in the system, it's like there won't be enough media outreach to try to get those people back. Some of those people, especially in many of the protests that's been happening for the past year, they could still be locked up, or they still have trial dates that's coming up,
Mhm.
and they're kind of just stuck in it.
That's right. Or people start getting abducted by unmarked vans. That was
Yeah.
like what was happening last year.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. That's kind of what I'm talking about too. It's like they will create reasons for riots to happen. Actually, their idea of a riot will be completely different. Police isn't there to protect people; they're there to protect property. At the end of the day, so if
Right.
they see any type of property damage, they'll deem that as a riot, hence start arresting people. So if you
Exactly.
be in the vicinity, they'll up and book you easy.
Yeah. I just find I just find a lot of these laws coming into play. It's just one is discrimination, but two, it's just a violation of human rights. It's a violation of American rights. It's a violation of what America is quote unquote supposed to be. From the voter suppression laws and now the anti riot law. I just find it all to be very anti American, if you will.
Yeah. I think the whole thing is just nonsensical. It's like America is so focused on being this homeland and the free, but when you have these Republicans or very conservative people, they're the ones that want to tighten up the rules a little bit. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, we can't allow that. We can't allow that. And then they'll bring up the same thing, like the forefathers fought for this. It's like, okay, but if people of color or the opposition, of course, reflecting to the conservative ideas, it could be liberals or leftists,
Outvote you. Now
outvote
you want
you
to get mad.
or have different ideas, now you're going to get mad. Now you're going to add more rules to the playbook, right? It's the same thing as that, like, if we're playing a game as kids, then you do something to beat your opponent, and the kid's like, no, 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 that's not true. That's a rule. You can't do that. It's like, no, it was never a rule. You just made it up just now because you don't like what I just did.
And you're a sore loser.
You're just a sore loser. So that's the way I look at it at the end of the
Exactly.
day.
What next you gonna do, huh? You gonna say we can't drink out of the same water fountain again? Because that's
Right?
I feel like we're going down the way the rate in which these southern states are creating these new bills and laws that are Republican dominated. That's where I feel like we're headed.
Yeah.
Because what else can they do? Because they can do a lot more. I don't want to know what they are, but shoot. But see here, and here's the thing, right, Bastion? I don't like the fact that when they create these laws, right, and certain companies don't want to be part of that state, like when the MLB decided, hey, you know what? We don't like the fact that you created this voter suppression law. So guess what? We're going to do that All-Star game that was supposed to be in Atlanta. We're
Mm.
not going to do it in Atlanta anymore. And now you got all these conservatives up in arms, like, oh, you see, this is what cancel culture's doing. But my whole thing is, you know, this isn't cancel culture. This is basically
And
us or a
commentary on like human rights.
right or a company being like, yo, you know what? We don't agree with what you guys are doing, so you know what? We don't want to have business here. Like, why does it have to be cancel culture?
Yeah, like you're doing voter suppression, and it's so blatant that you're not even hiding it anymore, right? Because you took the playbook from Trump. Trump's playbook is kind of all over the place. It's not a good
Exactly.
playbook, and it's like, come on, like, oh, what are you doing?
Which, by the way, companies are suing Fox now for pointing out that the whole voting thing was rigged. Like companies are actually suing Fox now for that. Okay, so hypothetically speaking, because this some bill is supposed to be in Orlando, but hypothetically speaking, we know it's never going to happen. But what if Disney goes, you know what?
No, it's not gonna happen.
That's right. Bastion, what did I just say? What did I just say, Bastion? I know it's never going to happen, but what if Disney just goes, you know what? We don't agree with what y'all are doing. So you know what? No more Disney World in Orlando, Florida. And Universal Studio goes, you know what? No more Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. Y'all could just have SeaWorld. Would you be mad then, Orlando? Would you call it cancel culture now, Orlando?
You break the
Probably will.
meta. It'll break the meta. But
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying, Bastion. It's
Nah,
just
I
the
know that's the fun. That's the joke. That's the
yeah.
joke.
Although
But
it will
yeah.
never happen. Never happen.
No, no. They own too much property. They own Orlando. And
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting because during the press conference of the anti-riot law, the officers did have like, they did have like a sign. It's like, this is what a peaceful protest looks like. This is what not a peaceful protest looks like. This is a riot protest. Like, this is what we'll start arresting people for to do. Like, Florida's a happy place, and he's showing pictures about like happy spots in Florida, and let me tell you, like, all the spots were Disney World. It's like, you telling me only Disney World is happy? Really?
I mean,
Okay.
it is the moniker is the happiest place on earth.
Like, come on, that's
Bastion,
Disney is in Orlando because sun and cheap land. That's it.
Bastion, after the Super Bowl, all of the teams are going to Disney World. You never hear, "Hey, Tom Brady, you just won the Super Bowl. Where are you going?" "I'm living the dream. I'm going to Universal Studios." No, never happens. You never hear that.
It's in the same area. But yeah, you're right. Disney World. So it's funnier there.
Yeah.
Smosh used to do this thing. I think it was like Food Wars, and at the end it's like, "We're going to Disney World. Yeah, can I
See?
come?" No,
Yeah.
but it's classic stuff. But yeah, yeah, it's all nonsensical. I hate it all, man.
I do.
There was this point of time back in 2012 where it's like, hey, like the world, United States is not the world, but United States is getting more left, a little bit more liberal leaning. Like they think there won't be any Republican presidents for the next like 100 years.
Shoot, I did.
And I
After
was,
Obama, I was like, "Bruh, it's going to be over." Like Hillary, I don't like Hillary, but hey, whatever is going to happen. Wrong. Wrong.
I
It's,
never believed that once. I was like, yo, the marketing team for the Democrats is worse than like fast food restaurants are telling you don't use plastic,
yeah,
right?
good point, cuz I'm not going to lie. All right? Don't cancel me for this. 45 was hella entertaining in the beginning. He was so I'm not going to lie, bruh. He was entertaining as
No,
hell, bro.
he had the best tweets.
Oh man, the tweets were crazy. He was going after Jeb Bush. Remember that? That was
Oh,
hilarious.
you're talking about 2015, 2016.
Yes.
Yeah, that was hilarious. It was terrible. Like you don't want to see that happen. You
Oh
rather
no.
watch, but it was hilarious. Yeah.
It was hilarious to watch. And then 2017 happened, and like it was still jokes still. Like my man was saying Kofifi and all that stuff. Like it was pure jokes. And then it just turned, bro. It just turned.
It turned because everybody else was on board the train. So when you're on board the Cuckoo 45, it's just it's not a good look. And that's why I never believed saying when they says like, "Oh, uh it's going to be very left, it's going to be very liberal, very progressive for the next 100 years because this is where the human mind is going." It's like that's not true. In most parts of the world, they're going very conservative. That's how it is in Brazil. It's like you got to pay
Yeah.
attention.
Brazil, France,
UK.
yeah, freaking Britain, of
It's
course.
like this is kind of what's going on.
This is the conservative backlash. This is the white fright or keeping the heritage pure.
Yeah, because right now the way I look at it, it's like we're in. I want to say the last era of like cash flow legacy. In that aspect, I'm talking about it's like all these companies are making billions and billions,
Yes.
right? They're making billions and billions, going to make trillions and trillions to the point where they have all the cash flow,
Yeah.
right? They own all the money. Now they're gonna control all the jobs, and they're just gonna have monopoly. And then that's it. They're gonna own everything. And this is the era that we're in. This is like what happened during the whole Rockefeller, Carnegie. It's like, hey, they're doing monopolies. They're controlling all aspects of the market. Then they crash it on purpose because they're able to make more money during the crash. And this is what's going on. If you want
I
to learn
agree.
more, check out the book Naomi Klein's Shock Doctrine.
Ooh.
I know WBI likes to talk about that book a lot, and I actually do think it's a really good book. It's not dated. You'll be able to use today's references with the old references as well.
Oh, look at us plugging WBAI merch.
I'm not gonna lie, it's like the only book I reference. I gotta add more books to that library.
Well, hey, to be fair, I feel like I always plug in that Boku super immune spray thing that helps me out and it helps boost my immune system. So hey, same thing. Naomi Klein's shock doctrine.
Yeah, Naomi Klein's Shock Doctrine. I don't have the book now, but I have like other books, like The Design of Everything and like Dune. Those are the books I'm reading. Design and science fiction. That's what I read it for fun,
Oh, that's what's up.
and a lot of
See,
manga.
what I read for fun, I like reading stories about like people's struggles, like memoirs. I like reading those sort of books. And I know John Cena just came out with a new book that I want to read. So shout out to John Cena. It's called Be a Work in Progress. Sort of like a self-help book, but it's John Cena. I'm a fan of John Cena. So yeah. Oh,
You
Be
only
a
need
Work in
one
Progress.
be work in progress.
Yeah, and other things I'd like to tell my younger self.
Interesting. There's only one self help book I recommend. That's The Power of Now. But
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the subtle art of not giving a f.
no, that book sucks.
Oh, does it?
I don't like that book. I read it.
Oh,
It's a quick
that's
read. It's a quick read. It's not disappointing. It's like it's well, it could affect you differently than me as someone that did like business school nonsensical like those ideas like how to make friends,
hmm
right?
Wait,
Like
what?
not how to make friends. Was it how? I'm losing. It's like one of those books they always recommend. How to?
How to be outgoing?
mm,
How to?
I'm losing the title. Oh, how to make friends and influence people. Like that's like one of the big books if
Oh,
you
ask them if
interested in like
that's easy.
business. No,
Ask them
no,
if you want to get
it's
into
easy
forex.
because you know you're a charismatic person. Some people need this book.
Yeah,
Uh,
ask them if they want to change their life through forex. That's how you make friends.
Anyways, Dale Carnegie, well, he was able to talk about 25 ways to win friends and influence people. It's like, yeah, if you try to influence me this way, I'll be able to see it. All right, so I know the system, I know the rules. If a million people read this book and they're trying to make friends, it's like, come on,
Shout out to all my triple platinum members out there.
yeah, let's get into the